Brodes Media.
The Sixers played last night, and it went as expected. Knowing Paul George gets injured in the preseason, and then getting rocked and hit below the belt with this whole Joel Embiid plan, there's only so much you can do. Maxey wasn't necessarily shooting the lights out, right? Your backup five is a Frenchman who in 26 minutes picks up 6 personal fouls. Small for that position. What are you going to do? There really isn't much to take away from the game, which is disappointing because I love this time of the year. I love when I can double dip into the Flyers and the Sixers. Now, I prefer if my hockey team wasn't losing 6 straight out of 7 games. I would like it if my team was ready for the regular season when it comes to basketball. But that's not what we have here. And that's why it's aggravating. I don't understand what's going on. I don't get it. I don't even know where to begin with it all because I sort of want to attack the Olympics because that's chronological order, kind of, to where we are today. But the messaging from the Sixers is just flat out embarrassing. They knew for a while that he wasn't going to be ready for game 1, which, unless there's an injury, doesn't add up to me. I don't get how that's possible. And there's a reason why the league is investigating. I used to think the NBA had something against the Sixers, whether it was Sam Hinkie, his approach, the process. Well, now I'm starting to realize they're not just picking on the Sixers. The Sixers are probably just stupid, right? Now that we have more knowledge and information on how this organization is ran, maybe they're just dumber than everybody else. Did it have to be so blatant that you guys just don't give a damn about the first 35 games of the season because you want Joel Embiid healthy at the end of the year? Which it doesn't. Okay, let me put it this way. It doesn't sound like that bad of a plan in theory. A lot of this comes down to how poorly you executed the message. And if you can't properly execute a message, how do I expect you to properly execute the more difficult part, which is the plan? One is just words. One is laying out a timeline and being open and honest on where he's at and if he's ramping up yet and all this stuff, which I don't even know what he's ramping up from, but we'll get to that a little later. Let's start with the basics here, and that's the idea of getting Joel Embiid right for the spring, making sure he's as healthy as humanly possible for the playoffs. I got no issue if that's how you attack. And I actually root for you to attack that way. The way you have to do it, though, maybe you don't go out and scream prior to first tip, yeah, back-to-backs, I'm never playing again. Well, why? Why don't you just let the actions tell the story? Because I think that there's a tone that sets. I think the worst part about this is none of these games matter at all. Not to us. And you know what? I don't even give a damn about the fans either. You could have got tickets for $29 for the home opener. And I had a buddy text me who decided to go last minute because it was so cheap, which is nice for people who, you know, look at the numbers sometimes for what these tickets cost and go, I can't ever go. I'm proud for those that do get to go when it is cheaper, don't get me wrong. But with the aspirations of winning a title, with the mentality of, actually getting this thing done, for a season where you bring in Paul George and tie him together with another season of Nick Nurse, Oubre returning, Embiid, Maxey taking another step. This is about winning a championship. And game one, you can go on the secondary market and snag a couple of tickets for 29 bones. That's a joke. And the way it was described to me was, it wasn't a hostile crowd. It was a carefree crowd that was just there to enjoy the game like it's the ballpark in the middle of June. Woof. It's the first game of the year with Milwaukee coming to town. And I don't know if they're calculating this part properly. What did we witness last season at the end? We witnessed a first-round matchup against the New York Knicks, which was a second-round battle that happened to match up early because Joel Embiid missed so much time. The difference is the dude actually had a major meniscus problem and had to get some things cleaned out, and due to basketball activity, you were forced to take that path, right? And then the cards line up as they do. This time around, you're actively saying, I'm okay with that. Well, last year, you were put in that position and you lost to the Knicks. You lost to the Knicks, who, by the way, you got to beat maybe 2 or 3 of those teams to win a championship. You can't beat them once. These regular season games, I used to be a big they don't matter guy. But with this current team, they do matter. Maybe if I had the Celtics roster who's coming off a championship, I'd go, yo, it don't matter. It don't matter. Maybe if I had Golden State, like, it don't matter. This group, where I question the mentality to close out games, when I wonder about their last 6 minutes of a fourth quarter, game 6 against Boston, and then game 7 against Boston somehow is even worse. It matters. And what else matters is cohesion. One of my biggest knocks about the Sixers franchise dating back to the last 6-7 years, it's Brett Brown, it's Ben, but Ben doesn't get the ball in the fourth quarter after 3 quarters of primary ball handling because he can't shoot the ball. Now Jimmy Butler takes over. Now you have Seth Curry and Andre Drummond. Nope, no, you don't anymore. Here's Tobias Harris. Here's Doc Rivers. Now Brett Brown's gone. Here's Kyle Lowry, who you pick up as a buyout veteran dude, and now he's logging in 40 minutes in the playoffs at 97 years old as your primary ball handler. That's now who you're running with. And there's 75,000 other people that I have failed to mention throughout that timeline. But you understand my point is they've never been able. James Harden, now it's Paul George, now it's Nick Nurse. It's so much change that I have to value cohesion. And it sounds to me like their plan is something along the lines of just get us to the dance and then hopefully we can snap our fingers and make it work. Yeah, the Phillies tried the same thing this year. They tried the same thing. After a nice start to the year, they played essentially 500 ball-ish the rest of the way and said, we know how to get it done. And that was a team that was at least a little bit somewhat more proven than the Sixers, getting to the World Series, getting to Game 7 of the NLCS, 1 game away from 2 straight World Series appearances. Now, they failed. But when you compare it to the Sixers, more steps were taken. They had some sort of track record with the group to wonder if there's something to it. With the Sixers? Oh, my God. No. I have nothing to base this off of. I need cohesion. And I think one day Paul George is going to play. Then he sits. Then Joel's going to play. Then he sits. Somebody called into WIP last night and asked me, do I think that we will get over or under 35 games of Maxey, Embiid, and Joel playing together? And I go, under. 100% under. In what world? I can't trust it at all. And if they do, great. Seeding matters with this group. And look, if you take this path and you put the fans through pain, NBA tip-off, first game of the year, fans are excited. If you put us through hell with this emotionally damaged type of 82 games that we're about to embrace, because let's be honest, that's what it is, then there better be a payoff. You better reward us. You better win a championship. There could have been an easy fix here. All right? Sorry. I don't know what that was. A little something that made me a little uncomfortable. But there could have been an easy fix here. Play game one. Play game one. When you go on the road, whatever it is, that's when you sit your first game. Play game one, sit game 3, sit game 5, sit game 7. Enter the season with a purpose, though. Listen to Nick Nurse. This made me sick. Nick Nurse was asked about, did Joel Embiid get injured in the Olympics? Did Joel Embiid re-injure something? What's going on here? Take a listen to Nick Nurse and his response.
He did not re-injure himself, but the plan is we don't feel like he's quite ready, strong enough, light enough, whatever it is that they've determined that he's not quite ready to go, hasn't been in any full court scrimmages, etc. And that's the plan.
How is that possible? He hasn't even been involved in scrimmaging. So what are they doing? Are they really letting him just sit down and acting as if his season begins January? Hey, Joel, the season begins for you January 15th. Everyone else, I want your ass working hard. I want your ass competing. I want your ass in training camp getting bagged for running up and down the court with conditioning and all that stuff. You are going to pay the price and be ready. Joel, doesn't matter what you do, kid. Don't worry about it. We just want you ready for spring.